Hello and welcome to Jamie's Football Chat. I have Amy with me tonight, so I'm really looking forward to this chat with you. And thanks for joining me all the way from Ireland.
No worries at all. Thanks for having me on.
No, thank you very much. So, as everyone's aware, there's a few results that have just come in. So I thought I'd just quickly say those. We've had Arsenal draw 1-1 with Southampton, which isn't really a shock. At home, you've got Leeds won 5-2 against Newcastle. Ooh. And you got Leicester lost at home to Everton. So yeah, some big results there. But again, some of them have even gone for us, because I saw that if we win our 2 games in hand, we go top of the league. Like,
Yeah.
it's crazy.
We needed Southampton to drop the points today anyway.
Yeah, exactly. So
Against
they dropped 2. So
yeah.
yeah, it's madness. This league this season is one of the most craziest leagues ever, isn't it?
It's literally like it's anyone's league this season, I think. Like between the top 8, I think it's literally anybody's.
Yeah, 100%. And yeah, so I just think that the way it is at the moment, because of COVID obviously happened, you've got the top teams didn't really improve as much. So obviously they couldn't, like United didn't get Sancho and whatever. So then all the gaps then increased, and then the squads aren't as good. They're a bit more tired because they're playing all in Europe and that as well. You look at City, they're looking not as good as well. And all the big teams are playing all these games in Europe, and they just can't mix it up now. Like before, you'd have the main team, you put the subs in, and then they'd still be nearly as good as the first. But
Yeah.
not now, because the squads aren't as good, are they?
I think a lot of clubs as well have a lot of injuries as well, so that's obviously affects them. Like Liverpool,
Yeah,
for example, they have a lot of injuries at the moment,
yeah,
so it's obviously injuries are affecting them big time, and obviously then the depth then the squads are an issue.
definitely. No, I think that's the thing. Is that it makes me laugh because obviously we don't like Liverpool, but the thing is, they're saying this year they're all moaning, saying, "Oh, yeah, we've got a lot of injuries," or, which they have. But when they won the league last season, they didn't. They had a few injuries, but they didn't have anything like they've got now to the main players. Last season, we had Pogba out for about 3 or 4 months. We had Rashford out a couple of months. Martial at the start a couple of months. So we had to survive with all that, and obviously, we did, and we got top 4, but we got third. But then Liverpool were lucky with it. They didn't have any main injuries. Rather than this season, they've got a bit of luck against them with injuries, and that's what clubs, you go through big seasons, that always happens. So it's just at the moment it's come for them at one time, and I
Yeah.
think the players will come back and they'll be all right. But it happens all the time, and I think it's never happened before. It's happened under Fergie. So
Oh yeah, I agree with you 100% there. Yeah.
yeah. So you said you watched the Arsenal game. So what did you? I didn't see it. So what did you think of Arsenal again? They were just terrible.
Yeah, they were like I think I watched majority of the first half. I missed a few first 10 minutes of it or so, but they're quite poor. I think it's just that they lack a lot of creativity in midfield, to be honest. So
They
they're not
do.
creating much. But the start of the second half, I feel like Arteta was like go out there and start from the get go again.
Yeah.
And sure, Aubameyang got a goal then, and sure then Gabriel got sent off, so that was their downfall then. And I felt towards the end, then Southampton had majority of the ball, so
Did
they
they?
kind of went back to the way they were before Gabriel
Yeah.
or in the first half. But no, overall they're quite poor, to be honest.
Really, because I saw it was quite funny. Was Theo Walcott scored against them? It's obviously what
Yeah.
all players always do against them. And then the thing was, he ran off celebrating. He was loving it, and obviously because he was going to celebrate because he started there, didn't he? So you could see why he did. But I thought that was quite funny, really. But yeah, I think Arsenal again did Thomas Partey, because he's good. He is.
I don't think he did.
I think he did. No. So that's the thing, isn't it?
I'm
That
trying to think.
they're just midfield in
I
creativity, and
don't
obviously the
remember
main.
seeing him. I don't
He
remember
must not
seeing
have
him on the
played
pitch
then.
actually.
But then they've got Ozil. It's obviously he's like a luxury player, and
Yeah,
obviously he's
oh,
not. He hasn't been very
yeah.
good for a long time. But again, he's sitting at
Mm.
home, isn't he? So
But to be honest, if he was given the chance, he probably would play well.
yeah, exactly. Just as
Do you
long as
know?
he's fitted in the right team, he probably can. He's not old, so
Yeah.
obviously, maybe early 30s, and he's not like past it yet. So yeah, it's crazy, isn't it? But again, they always say Man United is the most, biggest club in the world, most talked about. Every
Mm.
time Ollie does a draw or even a loss, it's always, they're thinking that he's going to go and get the boot, rather than Arteta's had this sort of awful run, and he seems to, been sort of escaped much criticism as Solskjaer has. So that's a bit annoying, really. You still there, Amy? I think we've lost you. I think. Oh, I think we've lost you. Give me a second. You back?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not
Sorry.
sure what happened there. Was that your signal or something?
Yeah, I think so. It happens every now and again. Yeah.
Yeah, no worries. Yeah, I was just saying about Arteta that it's funny because he's been on this awful run and he hasn't really been getting much stick as much as Solskjaer has, and it's just because of difference in clubs, isn't it? You know.
Yeah, well, look, at the end of the day, Manchester United are a huge club and they seem to
Yeah,
be at top of the media day in, day out, you know.
yeah,
And I just feel like it doesn't matter what United do, win, lose, no
yeah,
matter what they do, will always be top of the media.
definitely.
Um, and it's been an issue. That's been an issue as well. Like, you know, the whole situation with Lampard last year getting won the man or nominated for manager of the season, and Ollie
Yes.
didn't.
Yeah,
That's another thing as well. The whole English side of that thing. Like, obviously Lampard was nominated because he's English.
that's right.
Um, so yeah, I think just it's just Man United. You always you have people who love them or you hate them. There's no in
Yeah,
between like with us, and obviously as big fans, then obviously you love the club. But then no matter what other fans are out there, they're going to absolutely hate us. So obviously because of our massive fan base, we're always going to be top of the media. Like over here in Ireland, every single day Man United are in the paper.
really.
Doesn't matter what it is, they're always in the paper. And it's just over in Ireland, like we've a huge fan base over here. It's all
Yeah,
Liverpool and it's all Man United over here and
yeah.
Leeds as well. There's quite a lot of Leeds supporters over here as well. So they're always going to be top of the media, you know.
Mm. That's the thing, isn't it? That it all stems back from. We've had lots of Island players play for us, John
Mm,
O'Shea and whatnot, and then obviously then before that, the legend is Roy Keane, and
mm,
obviously he, obviously played and one of the best captains, ever for us and leaders, and obviously then from then you've always had this massive Island fan base, and I think when I've gone to games as well, you might go into some of the football pub near it, which is Hotel Football. Sometimes you do see some of the Irish fans about there, and they literally just come over from Dublin or whatever just for the game. Like it's crazy. So the
yeah,
commitment there is brilliant. So
yeah.
it's pretty
That's what
cool.
we do now as well. We fly over the day of the match, or either well, if it's an early game, we'd fly over the day before.
Yeah.
But if it's an evening game, so like an 8 o'clock game, we would fly over that day and just fly home then the next day. Yeah, so there's some dedication in it.
What? So if you got a season ticket?
No, I don't,
No, but you'll just
unfortunately.
try and go to the ones when you can. Yeah, same as me.
Yeah,
Yeah, one of my friends, Shane, he's got a season ticket, and yes, he's quite lucky. But yeah, like I'll just try and go to games as much as I can. Had the United membership for a few years. That's always makes it easier now to get tickets.
yeah,
And more thing now when you get older, you can just go and go to these games easier now than before. When you were younger, it was harder. So yeah, it's really good.
yeah. Well, my dad's friends have season tickets now, so we try get them off them, like, anytime they're
Yeah.
free. Unfortunately, the time they were free last season was the Burnley game in January.
Oh no, what was that? Was it 0-0? Was it?
2-0.
Oh, 2-0 Burnley. Oh yeah, yeah. So
Mm,
yeah, that was the one when Ollie was sort of teaching on the sack, wasn't it? They're thinking he could get the boot,
yeah,
and then
yeah,
after then he won the next game, and then I
yeah.
think he won the next. I think we're unbeaten in like 25 games, something ridiculous
It was after
until the
Bruno signed then.
that was it. Yeah, after
Yeah,
Bruno's time, we had that
yeah,
massive run to like the FA Cup semi final and that,
yeah.
and then the rest then was history. And that Burnley
Mm,
game, if we'd have lost the one after that, then it would have been a different story now. But yeah, we went on that amazing. We need something like that Project Restart run,
mm,
similar sort of thing again. And I know that it's going to be harder because we obviously didn't play as many, but we had the 5 sub rule as well, which helped us, and that needs to come back because I know the Neville and Carragher have had their moments, arguments over it, but I just think that it would keep players fresher and stop all these muscle injuries that a lot of them are getting and that as well. And it's cold weather as well. It just
yeah.
keeps players fresher with because we did the 5 sub roll in Europe, and that seemed to help them some of the European games.
Oh yeah, I did understand it. Like you can even see against that Leipzig game the last day. Like I think he wastefully put on two subs that he shouldn't
He
have, or
did.
two defenders that
Axel,
he put on.
Axel and Fosu, yeah,
Yeah, I thought they were wasteful. But look, at the end of the day, when things aren't working, you have that opportunity to make a change, even in the first half, even at halftime if you need to,
yeah,
and still have that extra support there on the bench if need be.
yeah.
So I think the 5 sub rule is good in that kind of way, but at this stage, like Ollie's been here 2 years, he should know what team he wants to play. He should know how to tactically play against certain
100%.
teams. So
Yeah.
he shouldn't need the 5 subs. But look, there's obviously nothing we can do about that.
No, and I think it's like you said, that the way that he's doing it sometimes now, because the managers are frightened generally across the whole of the Premier League that they've got the 3 subs, and then somebody gets injured with muscle injury in the game, which a lot of them are, or slight tiredness or whatever, and they're thinking that's 1 sub gone. So I want to go and bring a sub on at the end to bring an attacker on. They're only left with 2, so it's quite awkward. Obviously, when we get rid of all this pandemic and everyone's had the jabs and that, and we go back to normal 3 subs, it's fine. But I think currently, I think it'd be better if they just kept as it was, because keeps players fresher. And I think that with Cavani and that, we played him quite a bit in a row because he's old, but he was he was on fire. Like he was great.
Yeah.
But I think that we brought him off the bench the once. Then I think he started a couple, and then he obviously got injured. And I think then since then, we've missed his vocal point. But at least now he's back in training. But unfortunately, he won't be back for tomorrow. He's going to be back for the next game, isn't he?
Well, do you know what? Starting him against Leeds wouldn't be a bad idea, to be honest.
Yeah, that'd be amazing.
I think we need to have a striker up there. Like
Yeah.
I just feel like Rashford, Martial, Greenwood at the moment they're not out strikers, and I
No,
think what we're lacking is an out striker. So having
I
Cavani
agree.
in there would be a massive plus.
Yeah.
And then having Bruno in behind him, and then Rashford,
Yeah.
Martial, Greenwood around him, like any of those, I think it would work a lot better having an out striker up there.
Yeah, 100%. And I think that the way that project restarted again, we had the 3 of them then playing, Rashford, Greenwood, and Martial, and they were on fire, and they were all but full of confidence, and they all was swapping. Rather than this season, Martial's had his downs and that as well, and Greenwood's had his issues. Rashford's obviously been good all throughout, but they're not really been able to play the 3 of them together with full of confidence. That's been a shame. But again, even when they do, they can play on the counter attack and have individual moments, which is what we tend to do this season, like Neville said the weekend. But when you miss an out-and-out striker like a Cavani or whatever, or Ibrahimovic, it gives you that extra dimension. So when Cavani comes on, like against Southampton, his movement was amazing for like a number 9. It was great to see.
Oh, his work rate is unbelievable, and he's playing.
Yeah,
There's no doubt about that. But I
yeah.
think a
He's
lot
so
of the
intelligent,
time,
so intelligent as
oh,
well.
so intelligent. But I think a lot of the time as well, when Martial was playing poor, Rashford was playing quite poor, there was no service around him,
Yeah,
which was obviously something else that we're lacking on. But look, Rashford's coming back into form again. Hopefully, we can see Martial coming back into
yeah.
form. We've Tellez whipping in those crosses anyways. We know how good Cavani is at
He's
scoring
so good at
headers.
crosses, and
Yeah.
and I think you looked at the last game against City, even though I was going to talk about that briefly after, but even though we drew the game, I think the crosses from Shaw and Tellez in corners were great, because for a long time we've had Daily Blind at crosses on corners, and
Yeah.
God knows what, they've been absolutely terrible. And obviously with the amount of big players that we've got in the team, it's it's somewhere that we can do well in, and the crosses that we put in was unfortunately Lindelof had a header and Maguire, and they could have easily scored. So I think that should be one of our strong points really. So I think that was good to see that we did some good corners really, because a lot of times years gone by we've done some rubbish ones.
Oh yeah, completely. Like at one stage we had Phil Jones taking corners, like
Yeah, remember that? Yeah.
so. Like having someone that's able to cross the ball and put it in a nice spot as
Yeah,
well in the box, it's
100%. When you got people say about
so good.
Maguire, but Maguire's brilliant in the air at corners. He's
Yeah,
quality. He just needs to
but
score more.
yeah, and I think as well, what's kind of frustrating me as well is with our set pieces. Like we do have a lot of height. Like we have Matic, McTominay, Maguire, Pogba.
Yeah,
We've all those with massive height in the box,
Rashi's quite
and
big
none
as
of
well. Yeah.
them, Rashford as well. Like, and none of them can score from a header. Like, and it's just at that they actually can't get them on target either. So it's quite frustrating.
It is. Just practice it in training, like it's not hard, surely.
Yeah, yeah. Should we see Maguire do it for England?
Yeah, he
Majority
does. Yeah, like
games.
the World,
So
World
like,
Cup and all that.
yeah.
Yeah.
So I
But
don't
then
know why he can't do it for
all they
United,
need to
but
do is watch some videos of Ibrahimovic or Ronaldo, because they do it all the time. You know.
yeah, exactly.
But yeah. So just to quickly go on then from what we had a good talk about, just was, so we've got Sheffield United tomorrow, live on I think Amazon Prime, I think, which is obviously they've had all the games these last couple of days. So luckily I've got that now, ready to watch the game tomorrow. So that's good news. Couldn't miss that game. But as you said, we've got Cavani. He's been out the last sort of 2 games, and he's back in training, but I think Ollie said today in his press conference that he's not going to be back for that game. So, like you said, the Leeds game will be one maybe to start him. But then I did see he made quite a funny one because everyone saw Rojo and Jones have been like obviously training lately, and I keep seeing them in training pictures, thinking, oh, what they're doing, and obviously that they're just training about not even playing. I don't think they've even got Premier League numbers or whatever. But I saw that Rojo has not played for over a year. Jones has not played since January this year. Romero's not played this season. And I just think it's an absolute joke. And they said that Rojo and Jones have only just recently come back and then they're injured again. And that supposedly Rojo played a reserve game and he said, Ollie said he was okay and he had another injury again. I'm like, they're just gone. Rojo's on quite a lot of money as well, he is. I just think that they've got to try and sell them in January so much, but it's going to be so hard because who's going to want to buy them? I think what you're going to have to do is just sort of cut your losses because I just think it's like 3 squad places there that a lot of times United fans say we really want centre halves, which we know we do. But if you've got 2 that are currently on your books and getting paid nearly 200 grand a week, you can't really go and get somebody else in, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, look, I was saying this yesterday. We have players there who have not seen a United shirt in God knows how long, and their wages
Yeah,
are massive as well.
yeah,
And you know what? The whole Ramiro situation, I actually feel really sorry for him because
same, yeah,
such a good keeper. Like he'd make first keeper for any club in the league,
yeah,
and United won't sell him to any club in the league. So if they don't, just let him go
yeah,
altogether. Just let him go. And you know, I'm not a big Lingard fan, but if he's not going to get game time at United, just let him go and let him be somewhere where he will get game time.
same, same.
So I think it's bad form on some of the players, but if you've the likes of Rojo and Jones are constantly injured, I would just cut the losses and just let them go. Just release
Yeah,
them.
100%. I think it's like you said that, like you look back and some of the United fans are going harsh with some of these other players you mentioned, which again isn't right because you got to think to yourself. Some of the ones Jones in the early days, he was good with Ferdinand and Vidic when he had those around with him, and then obviously Fergie put that big thing and he did that speech on the pitch in his last game saying that Jones would be a future captain and all this, and obviously had too many injuries and he's never lived up to it, but it's no really fault of his own. So he's just not good enough and he gets injured all the time. So but I think they've got to realise themselves, those 2 players, Rojo and Jones, that they're injured all the time. They've got to just move on, or just maybe just think, well, the contracts they've been paid highly for so long, just release themselves and move on. And it's just wasting squad positions. And Rojo for spells, he's had good form and good, times when he's played well, but he's never going to be a first team for United going forward. And he had a good run in under LVG a few times, and that when we won the FA Cup and that. But yeah, he needs to go. And like you said about Romero, he did well in the sort of European games and that, and played well. But I think at the moment, De Gea's obviously been one of the best in the world, if not the best in the world, for at least he was for a couple of years. And obviously last season he wasn't as good, and this season he's got his form back. But then you look at Dean Henderson, who looks absolutely brilliant, and his leadership skills on the pitch is great. He will be the next number 1, and you think, well, you can't have Romero there as well. You've got to get rid of him, as you said. So. And then you've then got the other issue of Lingard, that he's a mank through and through, and we appreciate everything he's done. But at the end of the day, Amy, like you said, he's not good enough. So I'd like to see him moved on, maybe a loan, or push him to let him play and get his confidence back. Because one thing is he's low on confidence as he had, but also he's had a lot of focus elsewhere, like his clothes and all the other stuff that's winds United fans up. But again, if he focuses back on football, he'll do well elsewhere. But I think at the moment he needs to go and get a move.
No, yeah, no, I agree with that 100%. I just feel like these sort of players are, well, not these players, but Ramiro and Lingard, for instance, like Lingard would do so well in a lower league team, like
He would, like
without
West
a
Ham or
doubt.
something.
Yeah, but he just does not
Yeah,
fit in at United, unfortunately.
he
And
doesn't.
like it, just for his own sake, he should just hand in a transfer request, I think.
Yeah,
Especially if he's not going to get game time, and Ramiro as well, just let him go. Just let him be
100%.
happy. Let him be
Yeah,
happy somewhere else.
yeah. It's like you think about Lingard as well. Out of all of those 4, he's had one of the most biggest influences on our trophies post Ferguson. He's always played well in big games, big finals, scored in finals, helped us win trophies. So United fans will always, remember him for that and be close to our heart because he's, Crystal Palace final as well. That the one we scored the goal there. What a goal that was, and amazing moment. So that was really really good. But I think at the moment now he just needs to move on, as you said. But it's interesting because those 2 players you mentioned, I think Romero, I read this week that he had Raniola, which we'll come on to after, which is obviously Pogba's agent. I think he had him and he's got rid of him now, so that's interesting because he didn't get him a move in the summer. And then I think Lingard has got him as agent now, so that's another one interesting as well because like we'll go on to after. Neville sort of said we don't want to ever deal with this agent again, which I totally agree. So I think we'll chat about him on later on when we chat about Pogba.
I think Linker got rid of him though.
He got rid of him as well, has he?
Yeah, he did. Yeah,
No way,
he
they
did.
both have then.
I think United just don't want to deal with him basically.
Yeah, we can't. And the thing is, like, we had the time we had Ibrahimovic, which obviously was amazing, and then obviously Mkhitaryan, they were both him as well. And obviously now it's only mainly Pogba then that's left, so we've got to get rid of him. And the thing is, it's a shame. I think it's Micah Richards as well. We'd like Haaland, which I would love, and obviously he's Norwegian like Ollie. But at the end of the day, if he's got him as his agent, then I wouldn't deal with him because he's going to be in the same boat again. He's going to get to when he's 28 or something, he then might itch for a move, and all he's bothered about is just money, and it's like mafia driven, isn't it? I just can't be dealing with him again.
Yeah, but I think as well, just going on to the whole Pogba situation, I think Pogba just has a massive ego as well, so I think they bounce off each other fairly well.
They do.
So that's obviously a big issue.
Yeah, definitely. I think while we've on, we'll go back to Sheffield United again in a minute. But I think now's quite a good time to say about Pogba being on about those sort of players. Is it's quite interesting because you see like things on Facebook and whatnot with Ibrahimovic comes out and says like Raniola, obviously his agent, like he's his brother and all this and different stuff. Like he quotes that, and Pogba says it about Raniola as well. So they're very close to him, which is like obviously because he gets some money, doesn't he? This is the main thing.
Mm.
So they're very close to him. It's very very odd. And obviously all the quotes that came out last week and that, and I did see like with Pogba, obviously it was before one of the biggest games of the season in Europe. He came out with all those quotes. Raniola, Pogba did his thing after the game, some quotes as well. Was it blah 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 and all this sort of stuff he was on about? But Roy Keane and Micah Richards and Gary Neville obviously after the game were doing some really really good analysis, and it's really good to watch. And Roy Keane said this, and I thought I'll read this out, Amy, because I thought it was brilliant. You may have already seen it. Roy Keane said, as Roy Keane said, I think no one's bigger than the club. But his quote was, there comes a point where United have to say no. It's no big deal. Players have wanted to leave United before. David Beckham wanted to leave. Peter Schmeichel wanted to leave. And those are all legends of the club. Pogba wants to leave. Let him go. Get a few bob in January or the summer. No big deal. If he leaves again, Man United will survive. Trust me. And I think that's so right. And like I've said, we've lost better players than Paul Pogba and survived. Keane is absolutely spot on. And I think that was a really, really good sort of quote that he said there. And I think that just shows that in the moment now we know that cloud is over him. Get rid of him.
Oh yeah, 1,000,000%. And you know when the comment from Raiola came out, like Pogba didn't even come out and say, "Oh, like
Yeah,
I want to play for this club." He waited a few days. He waited after the City game to actually come
that's
out and
it.
say it. But when that rumor went out about him with the French team, he
Yeah.
put up a post straight away. Straight
Oh,
away.
he did. Yeah, with Deschamps. Yeah, that's
Yeah,
true.
he put it up straight away.
Yeah.
I was going to say something there now and I completely forgot.
Yeah.
I just think Pogba, if he wants to go, just go.
Yeah.
This is
I think we may have lost you there, Amy, again. You
apologies.
back? You back now?
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, cool. Yeah, cool. Okay. It's connection from England to
Just
Ireland.
yeah. Just the issue as well. I think the reason why they won't let Pogba go is because of the commercial side of things, and
100%.
Woodward and the
He's
Glazers,
massive
all
on
they
that.
want is the money.
Yeah, definitely.
So that's why they're not so fast to let players go, especially someone with a name like Paul Pogba.
Yeah, 100%. And that's really, really, I didn't sort of think of that. It's more like you say, when he joined, we created a hashtag for him, all this other stuff. It was just a joke.
Yeah.
And obviously, like, when he was at Juventus, amazing player. He had the other players with him as well. But at the moment, I think Roy Keane also said it as well. He was really, really good the weekend. That he said that when you are a really big player, I mean, like you said, like Keane was, he would always expect to be playing every week. And also as well, when you are a big player, you're playing that team, other players around you, you get them better, you make them play better. But every time Pogba plays, you think, oh, he's a really, really good player. But he doesn't seem to have the influence on the game to make other players play better like Bruno's done. Bruno's come in, been the main player in number 10 position. He's probably the best midfielder in the league, if not one of the best in the world now in terms of form. And he's been brilliant. But you look at Pogba, he's not had that influence at United ever since he joined. The only time he's ever looked really, really good was when he had that link up with Ibrahimovic, but that's just because Ibrahimovic is that good.
Yeah.
So I think that's really, really shows you that he's not as good. He's a great player, don't get me wrong, and he'll be good in a different maybe team setup. But I just think if you've got to do it on your own, that shows you. Like Kevin De Bruyne, like he's that good at City. He makes other players play better as well. So I think with Pogba, when he did those comments after the game, as you said, Amy, I just think it was just too late. And I think United fans now are just absolutely sick of it, me included. And I think that when it's gone on for too long, and again, he's being paid a big hefty fee by the club at the moment, wages. He needs to roll his sleeves up. Probably won't leave in January. Just keep on playing well into the summer. Hopefully, then maybe other clubs will then look and then get him. And I think that if he wouldn't have had the COVID, he may have even been sold in the summer. But because of Madrid and Barca were sort of cut in terms of money, they couldn't afford him and whatever. So I think hopefully maybe next summer he will go, because at the moment it's like you say, we're always waiting. And that big commercial thing with the Glazers and Woodward, it's like we brought him for 80, 90 million. They're worried about the loss on him. But at the end of the day, we're going to have a bit of a loss because he's only got a year or two left of his contract. You know.
Sorry, the dog was barking.
That's okay. But do you see what I was saying?
Yeah, no, completely. Yeah. I just feel like with Pogba, like he just has this massive ego, and he always
Yeah.
thinks he's better than everyone else. But
Yeah.
without a doubt, he's only had, I think he's not even had a handful of good games with United. And like he puts on that shirt and he goes out on the pitch and he just jogs around the place.
That's it.
And like it just feels like he doesn't want to be there. And I know, like, I think it was Jose Mourinho's first season at United as well. I just feel like he doesn't he knew the pressure was on him. He knew the pressure was on him because he was the best player at the club at that time.
Yeah.
He doesn't want
He
that
tried
sort
to
of
build a
pressure.
team around him. He tried to build a team around him as well.
But Pogba doesn't want that sort of pressure.
He doesn't.
He wants to be in the limelight media-wise, but he doesn't want to be in the limelight footballing-wise, if you get me.
Yeah.
Yeah, like, I don't really have much else to say about Pogba. I just feel like enough is enough. If you want to keep flirting with other clubs, and if you want to get your brother and your agents and start saying, you want to move, just go, just leave.
Yeah.
There's no reason for you to stick around. Just hand in a transfer request and go.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that it's like you said, Mourinho tried to build a team around him. Ollie's done that as well in times, and it's never worked. And the thing is, he's got different positions, and on the left, and some games he'll come on and he'll do well. But I think for me is that he's done a few great passes to like the long range stuff to Pogba and whatever. But a lot of it's just like FIFA football, isn't it, the way he's sort of trying to play? And at the moment, to me, is Bruno's been that good. I just think Donny, every time he's played, Donny van der Beek has been absolutely superb when he's played. And he hasn't been playing enough because, in my opinion, I think he was brought because they had the chance to get him, so they couldn't say no. But he was brought to be a replacement for Pogba. So when Pogba does go, they've got someone that's already there now. They may obviously get someone else in when he does go. But I think that they've got someone that's there. So at the moment, he's probably been told, you may not play as much this season, but when Pogba goes, you'll be one of the first names on the team sheet. Because I just think that he's that good. Amy, he's brilliant. Donny, he's so intelligent, brilliant.
And he works so well as well with Bruno. It's just the intelligence of the two of them is.
Yeah.
And you know what, as well, when Champions League, when himself and Mata were playing together as well, I think it's just the intelligent things. They just bounce off each other really well. And I think, Donny, he's so good in that midfield. Like, he is so good when he's playing in that pivot, and he's the anchor between the defence and the forwards.
Yeah.
I think just every ball goes through him and everything is forward, and it's absolutely brilliant.
Yeah, 100%. And I think it's like, I think the Brighton game in the Cup, a couple of other games, Champions League, you said as well, Mata was played really well in those games. And like, again, if he was 5 years younger, it'd be so good because his football brain is amazing. And obviously his legs are a bit tired now. But when we played him last season with not as many quick players around him, like no Bruno, no Donny, he didn't look as good because he'd always play him on the right, and he can't play on the right because he's too slow. But now, because he's been able to play in sort of the middle or even on the right and then link with Bruno and Donny, he's looked even better. So that's what they did, it has helped. And obviously he can't play all the time, but when it cup games or bring him on, that's why I think the moment we've got the massive game tomorrow, because again, the other teams have dropped points. I think in a way, maybe United fans may not agree with me, but we should mix it up a bit because we've got the Leeds game obviously at the weekend. Sheffield United game, I'd play Donny 100%, and maybe even Matter off the bench later in the game because we've got to keep these players fresh. Because otherwise they're going to just get injuries, aren't they? Like Martial had a couple of knocks and Cavani, and I think you've got to try and keep it fresh because Bruno will come a time when he's going to just be like knackered, isn't he? Because again, we rested him in the Southampton game. We ended up bringing him on because we had to, and he was brilliant.
I think, to be honest, we should have absolutely no issues with Sheffield United tomorrow. And I think it'd be the perfect game to just let Bruno sit on the bench.
Yeah.
Let Donny come in, Donny take over his role there.
100%.
Maybe I'd play, to be honest, I'd probably start Mata in a sense that Sheffield United are going to be sitting back. They're going to really press on the brakes, I think.
That's a good point. I'd play him. That's what I thought.
And Mata would be very intelligent in there that way.
Yeah.
And obviously then with Donny, his link up with Donny is unbelievable. So yeah, I would make those couple of changes. And to be honest, I'd start Axel as well. I'd bench Maguire.
Would you? Because he's been playing brilliant now, hasn't he, Amy, last couple of weeks? But again,
but he has a couple of good games, and then he has one nightmare of a game, and so it'd be no harm to bench him and give him a little bit of rest as well.
And he's been playing well lately. It keeps him fresh, and obviously the City game, he did some really, really good defending that blockers when they nearly scored. But I just think at the moment he's insistent to keep playing that same back four, and I thought Shaw had a really good game against City. But Wan-Bissaka's obviously looking sometimes a bit tired, but because he's got not much competition, because he doesn't really ever play for Mensa, so yeah, and obviously Deleu's on loan at Milan, and he's playing really, really well there.
He could play Brandon Williams there, though. That's
Brandon Williams as well, because that's his natural position. I mean, I would do that. Give him a rest. Like you say, I think for me, Axel has to play, because every time he had that game after PSG, he didn't look as good, but that PSG game, some of the games in Europe, he's been absolutely superb. And I think it just keeps Lindelof and Maguire a bit fresher, because they can't keep playing every game, the two of them. It's just stupid, isn't it?
Yeah, and look, not every player is going to have a 10 out of 10 performance in every single game.
No.
Do you're going to have your bad games.
Yeah.
But Axel needs game time.
Yeah.
So I would 1,000,000% start him against Sheffield United.
100%. And I think that even though Maguire and Lindelof have been good in their partnership, is what Ollie's worried about. Get somebody else in. But and obviously we didn't even talk about Bailey, because he was playing well before. But the thing is, he obviously every time he does play, he always gets injured again, doesn't he? But as bad as he's not as bad as Rojo and Jones, I must say, but he does get injured quite a lot. But he tends to play well a couple of games, and then he gets injured again. But I think that I don't know if he's just been lost trust in Ollie now. I mean, sorry, Ollie's lost trust in him, because I think he was on the bench the weekend, but he hasn't played for a long time. It's another one again, another injury sort of prone player, isn't it, that we may need to try and ship eventually. I think his contract's going to be up in maybe next year or two, so I know United will probably give him a renewal of the contracts as we usually do that. I don't think we should. I don't think we should this time. Oh, Amy, I think you've gone again. All right, folks, I just want to wait for Amy to come back. Hello, Amy, are you back?
Yeah.
Yeah. That's okay. So I was just saying about the other sort of players, just, oh my God, Bailey's just another injury-prone sort of player. But yeah, so like we've said about Pogba, and that's sort of what they said in the debates they had on it was superb to watch. And like Neville said, we just shouldn't work with that agent ever again. You ship him out in the summer or January, and you just build another team again. If, say, Jack Grealish would be great to get him, or even if you don't get him, you could then spend a lot of money on a top right midfielder that is good now. Don't get me wrong, you've got Facundo Pellistri, and you've got the Atlanta chap, Chiore. You've got him coming in, but they're only so young, so they ain't going to be that good now. But obviously, we need someone that's okay now. Even if you get someone on loan, like a Douglas Costa or something like that, because we're lacking that width. And then every time we haven't got the width, it always shows. When we get Southampton, we put Rashford, I think, and Greenwood on the wings with Cavani down the middle. he had more width there. He looked great.
Yeah. I think as well, it's obviously Martial is not really helping himself lately, and like he's not an actual striker. We know he's a left winger, like he played for years with United as a left winger.
Yeah,
But obviously he's just not up to scratch lately, and obviously it's a bit of an issue. But I think when Martial's back in form, we know how good he is. He runs at defenders. Like I just feel like he's every season he has this period of time where he's really lazy,
yeah,
and he's going through that period right now. Like I think
he
the start
is.
of last season he was the exact same, and then he got injured, and then he came back, and he was really good after he came
He was
back from injury.
amazing. The
So good when
Project
he came back from
Restart is
injury.
probably our best
Yeah,
player.
yeah. So hopefully he'll come back now soon. Hopefully soon anyway, and find his form again, and hopefully there will be that. Hopefully there will be width there, but obviously with that's obviously an issue. The winger situation is a bit of an issue anyway.
It is.
But defensive midfielder as well, that's a bit of an issue because I don't think McTominay is a defensive midfielder. So I think they'll need to splash the cash there as well. And obviously Matic, we have Matic and he can be great in some games, but you can't play him twice a week. You can only play him once a
No,
week.
because
So
he's too old. Great experience, but
yeah.
thing is, as you said, you're right. McTominay's, he's a good player, but again, he's better in a two. But if you've got that defensive midfielder in some games that we do want to go a bit more attacking to play that one, I don't think he can do it on his own. Fred's
No.
been one of the most underrated players of United over the last 18 months. He's been absolutely superb. And obviously, Ollie knows he's that important because, like in the Champions League game, he should have took him off. He didn't want to because he knows he's that important against City. He's great. And like in that Southampton game, you're doing loads of movements going forward and doing lots of, great passes going forward and movement. But that shows you how good he is because he's always looking for a forward pass. So I think he's great. But like you say, a true DM, like even like a Kante or something, that's
Yeah.
what we thought of,
Indeed,
we're
even,
dying for. Yeah, indeed. Yeah.
any of them. I think we just
Yeah.
need a quick, strong defensive midfielder because I just feel like
Yeah.
Matic is obviously he's very slow.
Yeah.
McTominay obviously works better in the pivot with Fred, and he plays quite sideways rather than forward.
Yeah.
But you know what? I'm really tired of playing this two defensive midfielders. We
Same.
shouldn't need that much protection on the
Of the
defense.
back four because they're worried about them on getting done on one-on-ones. But if you play
Yeah,
Axel, you haven't got that worry.
you don't need to. Like we
Yeah,
seen that in the PSG game. Axel and Lindelof played so well together that game.
they did. They
And I
did.
felt like Lindelof as well looked so much more comfortable. And
He
I think
did.
it's because he had Axel beside him who was good in the air and he's also quick.
His pace.
Yeah. So I just I think Ollie is kind of sticking to what he knows,
Mm,
and he doesn't tactically know how to change it up against certain teams.
no.
Like I can't remember what game was it West Ham we played two defensive midfielders and we shouldn't have played two defensive midfielders.
Yeah, and then he changed it up, and then we went for it, and then we
Yeah,
won, didn't we? Brought on the really good subs, and that
he needs to know from the get-go when he's putting out these lineups when
mm,
and when not to play two defensive midfielders.
yeah,
But I think he just really likes Fred and McTominay, to be honest. I think it's
he
all down to
does because they
favouritism as
work
well.
hard so together. It's like obviously we had Darren Fletcher and Park before. They'd always work
Yeah,
hard for the team. But again, like you say, Fred's been so underrated. But McTominay, he works hard. But if you want to go and win titles and league titles, you've got to have that central pivot so much stronger than it currently is. And I think that's where we're lacking. I think that's what we need to do is right midfield and a central midfielder. If say Pogba does go, that's where we need to improve. And like you said, indeed, the Leicester chap would be superb. But I've just seen a comment here for you, Amy. It's just popped up. Have a laugh at this one. Hi, Amy. I'm a Hughes fan.
thanks.
I'm not sure if you know who that is, but
No.
I'm anonymous. So yeah, a nice comment for you there. So that always makes you smile. But yeah, so I think that back on to the Sheffield United game again. That obviously I think we've got a nearly fully fit squad. Otherwise, I think like we've mentioned about rotating some of the players in Axel, Mata, and Donny. Then I look back at the three last games we played Sheffield United. So we played them. The last game was at Old Trafford. We won 3-0. That was in June. So that was obviously Project Restart. We played well in that game. and then we had the last game at Sheff United was a 3-3, and that was when Brandon Williams scored that good finish. That was in November last year, and then we had an FA Cup game that we last played against them was in 2016. So obviously because they're in the Championship, so and we won that 1-0. So so that, like I say, we hopefully do a win, but you just never know. Do with this United team, like Neville and Scholes and Keane have also been so inconsistent, and Rio has said as well. You just never know what team will show up. So fingers crossed we can get a win and get an important 3 points. But I think it's, as you said, that the stuff with going away, it's always different now because there's no fans. Is it like before? You go Sheff United away, the fans are all enclosed and on the pitch, and it's a lot more awkward atmosphere. Because of not having that there, it should be much easier for our players to play and just go for it. And it was interesting because you said about Martial, who's on one of his biggest fans, and I think was it last year he scored that great goal against City at home, amazing. And like you say, he goes through those like spells, and I think at the moment he's going through one, but he got over 20 goals last season, so he can do it. But I think he just needs confidence back and a team playing sort of the same sort of players all the time, so he can get that sort of bonding with other players, and I think he'd be back again. What do you think?
Yeah, look, it's kind of inevitable at this stage with Martial. Like we know he has his bad spells, and then he comes back. Then he's one of our best players.
Yeah.
Unbelievable. Like, and after his last spell, I was like, I'm fully on the Martial FC train now. Because before that, I was like, oh no, he's so lazy. Like,
Yeah.
But I said after his last spell, I was like fully on the Martial FC train, and then this season started, and then he started so poor, and I was like, oh god, here we go again. But hopefully now it'll be the same after Christmas. He'll come back now and he'll be raring for road again. He'll want to be scoring goals, So I think with I think this whole French thing going back to with Pogba as well. I think the French, they just have a bit of an ego, and I think Martial is just not happy that he has competition now with Cavani there. So
100%, that's really well, definitely. Because before he was that big man last year, and he was playing every single game, building the team, and he was number 9. He loved that. But obviously, when like Ibrahimovic and the others and Lukaku came in, but if you're a top striker, you've got to be able to play with other players and rotate and show that you are the best. And like you said, he's got that natural talent. And one of my favourite I've ever seen, the runs he does and the skill, he's unbelievable. And I just think that sometimes he scores goals. You just like watching Thierry Henry of old, like he's that good. But then the next game, he won't be very good. But he's just like you say, it's that attitude, isn't it? And that sort of like an Elka reminds me of a bit, doesn't it? The Sulk, as they used to call him.
Yeah. No, definitely. Like he's just one of those players who's just. I don't think he likes the competition, and I think he'd rather be first choice of everything. So if he can adapt again into that left wing, I think he'll be unbelievable. But I think it's the fact that he was playing left wing, and then he was moved to striker, then he's playing striker full time, and now he's moved back. So I think it's in a whole adaptation thing as well. So hopefully it'll work out anyway in the long run.
100%. It's like you said about as well that things with you get him, you need to make sure that he does work hard. Like Greenwood will run back and Rashford, and obviously Martial sometimes does, but sometimes he doesn't. You've got to make sure if you play on that left hand side, he's got to have protection for Shaw or Tellez or whatever, because that's what the top sort of wingers do. Even Ronaldo, when he was on the wing before, when he was at us, he always used to work back and and help, and that's what you've got to do. So I think it's going to be a big few games for him. I think at the moment, I think we've got. Is it 6 games within 30 days or something ridiculous? I can't remember, but it's like a lot of games coming over the Christmas period and lots of quick games. Obviously, they've got the League Cup game, which I think is so important because, as Keno said, I think it's for this team currently, we've had 3 semi-finals last season. We've got to get one of these now into a final and one of them into a win because that can push the squad on. And I think that Everton game, I know they're picking up form now, unfortunately, but let's hope that we can try and play a first team there and try and get to the semi-final.
Yeah, look, and as well, that game against Watford, I think it'll be a good chance to kind of mix and match it a little bit. And like I was watching the under-23s the other day, and that Palestri looks really good. Like he looks amazing, really, really good.
Yeah.
And Joe, you have the likes of Diallo coming in now as well from Atalanta, and you have obviously he's not going to throw him in the deep end straight away, but Joe, this Watford game, like I wouldn't go out playing our strongest team, but I would have some of our strongest players in with maybe the young lads and see how they get on. And it'll be good assessment for Ollie as well to see where these players are at as well and see if he can start adding them into the squad. So
Yeah,
you know, if that'll be good. And obviously, I was hoping the Europa League we would be able to do that as well. But with Real Sociedad, I just don't think. I think he'd have to play strongest. But at the end of the day, I think he needs to start rotating a bit, and he needs to start like not too much. But if a player, he needs to have a bit more of a backbone. If players aren't performing, he should start benching them and rotating them
100%.
until they start bringing back their form again. Because I feel like at Manchester United the last few years, I think players have been getting away with a lot, especially Pogba.
Definitely. Managers,
So
Amy, have been too loyal. They've stuck to them all the time because they've been good before in the past. But let's keep on playing them again.
yeah,
Sometimes
yeah.
you got to only play them on form. But I think, as you've said here, you've got another comment for you now. Let me just show you this one. You got Rachel. Yeah, hi Rachel. Nice to see you again. And I think she said, "Agreed, Amy. We need rotation." Yeah.
Mhm.
So yeah, I think
My
that's the
fellow
key.
she devil.
Yeah, fellow she devil. Yeah, brilliant. That was good. Yeah, we had a good show last week as well. But
Mm.
I think it's like you said that with going forward is that we've got the Everton game, which I think is really important to try and do well in the League Cup. We've got the Watford game in the FA Cup as well. It's mixing it with the Premier League because the Premier League's so open because, like we said earlier on, the teams all sort of closer to each other this season. Liverpool have got injuries and whatever, not as good form. That we've got to try and do well in the Premier League because at the end of the day, if you keep just knocking each game as it comes, and we're still like up there, then it's anybody's game, isn't it? And imagine
Yeah.
that. I think, as someone said before, I'll say it on here now. You ready? So next year is 2021. So does that mean that we've currently got 20 titles and it's going to go into 21? You know, I'm saying it here now on live on Jamie's Football Chat. 20 to 2021. I won't get too excited, but you never know. It is 2021 next year, so I've seen it on Twitter a few times. So yeah, imagine that Ollie getting 21. Come on.
Imagine he won the league though after all this talk of him getting
Yeah,
sacked. You know,
getting
like,
the sack.
and you know what? It's not impossible. So if he wants to go out there and win it, go out and win it. There's nothing stopping him at the moment because the likes of City, the likes of Liverpool, they're all crumbling a bit.
Yeah, 100%. I've just seen Rachel's going, "Nice, you've replaced me so soon." There you have it. We can do one soon.
Do you know, them clubs are crumbling now at the moment. Like, I don't know what
They
happened to
are.
City last night. Like, they shouldn't have drawn against West Brom, but besides the point, they had a bad game against us as well. Um, so I just think the likes of these clubs, and obviously Liverpool's injury list is huge.
Yeah,
Do you know, like they're like, obviously can't knock Southampton at the moment because they probably have one
they're
of the best
playing really,
seasons
really
they've
well.
had. Probably
Manager's
one of the
good.
best seasons they've had in a couple of years. Like, so
Yeah,
can't knock them, but the title is anyone's game, to be honest.
it
Absolutely
is. Which is
anyone's.
crazy, but you've got to be in it to win it. And like Rachel just agreeing with us there, 21 is coming, so you never know. And like you say, Rachel, we'll have to do one of these football chats with the three of us as well. And we'll just start mentioning 21. Absolutely love it. Yeah, so like you say, back to the final sort of thing in the City game. They obviously we drew with them, played we both played terrible. Obviously they drew West Brom yesterday, and then obviously they sacked Slaven Bilic and they brought in Big Sam. And as he's usually done, he usually comes in sort of this time of the year and keeps the team up. But I'm not sure he'll do that this time with the West Brom team. But you never know. But I just think that with Man City, Neville made a really good point of saying that maybe Pep knows now that because before Aguero would get them out of a lot of holes because he's that world class number 9 and he was so good at getting so many goals. He's obviously getting a lot more injuries now. He's older. The other team as well, and some of them have gone, like David Silva and that company have gone. This team, the way they used to play, isn't going to be the same anymore. And they got rid of Sane, which I think was an absolute great player. He didn't play him all the time. When he did in Europe, he was brilliant. And I think that's interesting now that their team, the way they play, isn't like the old style. And I think like the bench they had the weekend of Foden and Bernardo Silva, great players. I think maybe now it's their time. It's going to be sort of another cycle. So that's why I think sort of Neville said it a couple of years ago. We've got to be ready to pounce if these
Yeah.
teams like Liverpool and City are going to be sort of getting a bit worse and then going good again. We've got to have another good summer. That's why I've still got it about not getting Sancho, because I think that that would have been, if it wasn't for COVID, we would have had him. But imagine that we could have caught up. And I think that if we get another good January window of flog some of the ones we've mentioned and maybe get one in and then another one in the summer, then we can be right up there, because it showed Champions League, we played well in the run, but we just wasn't good enough at the end, and it's lacked a little bit of quality. So I think that's why we need another, like you said, right winger, central midfielder. That'll be a massive help. Do you think?
Yeah, definitely. But like with Ollie, I know Woodward came out there recently and said he's going to back him with signings or
Yeah.
whatever. But you can't believe a word that comes out of the man's mouth.
No, you can't.
You actually can't, and that's the difference between United and City.
Yeah,
If Pep is struggling and Pep wants players, Pep will get the players.
100%.
With United, if Ollie wants these players, they'll
Yeah,
negotiate. It'll fall
yeah,
through. He'll get the fourth best thing. So that's the difference between the clubs at the moment. And
yeah,
like as you said, because City are struggling now, this is when we pounce. Liverpool are struggling now. This is when we pounce.
yeah,
This is when we start winning games. This is where we start building our points, and this is where we start building our confidence again. And you know what? If he does that, he will be faster at the top of the table,
yeah,
and all the better for United and for United fans as well, because obviously the Glazers and Woodward will be happy with that because they'll be getting money.
yeah,
But the title is anyone's, and to be honest, we are title contenders at this moment in time, so they
yeah.
have absolutely no excuse not to go for it.
100%. And I think that's the thing to finish really is that the January window again. So people always said, it's never going to get really any good players in there. In the past, I think we brought Van der Sar maybe in January the once. We brought Sahar in January. We've obviously had Bruno, who obviously changed our entire team. So I think that this January window coming up, if we can somehow get just one player in, and even if you not got rid of Pogba, just get one player in. I know we've got the Delalo from Atlanta coming in, but at the end of the day, just getting one player in could change it because Agarlo's going to go. So I think maybe someone like James may go out on loan or something, so that would free up a squad position. And I think now it's our time to pounce, as you said, Amy, and try and get the 21 title.
Yeah, 1,000,000%.
That's my girl. Rachel's absolutely loving it. Great stuff. Don't I get a shout out as well?
But yeah, no, I think from a United point of view, it's not impossible. But going by consistency at the moment, they have a couple of good games. They have absolute nightmare. They'll start to pick it up again, and they'll just fall again, and it just seems to be a cycle now at the moment. So I think Ollie just needs to know, how do I word this? Like Ollie needs to tactically get it right. He
Yeah,
needs to know when to bench players. He needs to know, like, I think that midfield is a bit of an issue. I think we have nearly too many midfielders at this stage, and he
we
doesn't
have.
know who to play against what club. So
Yeah,
I feel like against Leipzig, he should have played Donny there.
and me, 100% all day.
Yeah,
I think he went with the midfield he had because he thought Matic and that would be protection.
yeah,
But at the end of the day, we knew Leipzig would attack. We knew they'd go for it. So we knew our defence isn't that good anyway, and we get exposed. Just go for it a bit as well. Don't play this safe position, because then what it does, if you do that, team's going to come on to you, and then you're going to be more to concede goals. They saw Matic and all these players playing. They were like, well, let's go for it, and they did. And then we had to change it second half, and then obviously we came better then and brought Pogba on and looked better. And I just think, as you said, Amy, that it's tactical sometimes. It needs to be the right time to do it. And that Leipzig game away wasn't the right time to do that. And I think it may be our old team with a better back four. You pay Matic and protection, yeah. But no, I think that we knew Leipzig got some really good, fast players. Angelino, the
yeah.
fullback
Angelino
from City, absolutely superb.
roasted Wan-Bissaka,
Yeah, he
roasted
did.
him.
Yeah, he did big time. And that's why, like, we knew they were going to come and go for it. There wasn't going to be the same as it was at Old Trafford. So I think he had to just, in my opinion, mix it up. So that was a shame. It's one that got away, but I just think that I know we hate to say we're back on Thursday nights again, but we've got to just try and win that because we've got a really tough tie against Real Sociedad, as you said, and they're like top of the league in Spain. Their league is just as crazy as ours, so that's going to be a really tough game. But I just think that it's going to be hard again doing that Thursday Sunday thing again because
Yeah, it will be.
obviously we had it before. It's very hard. The players only have games rest, so that's going to be a squad rotation as well. But if anyone can do it, then we can. We've done it before with Jose, haven't we? But it's definitely going
Yeah.
to be really hard. And there's some big teams that are still in it, I tell you. So
Yeah, and look, at the end of the day, like this is one thing we couldn't say last year. We actually have squad depth now,
we have,
so we can rotate. And
yeah,
he doesn't really have an excuse. Like he
no,
he can rotate. So
yeah,
But I think he just likes to stick to what he knows,
Yeah,
and he doesn't want to change it in case anything goes wrong. But
yeah,
he needs to be able to take those risks. He needs to be able to have a backbone and take those risks, because otherwise, like, he's sticking with these same players. And look, for the likes of Bruno, he's going to be burnt out after Christmas
he
because
is.
he's playing
He is. And Rashford.
every game during Christmas.
And Rashford.
They're all going to be completely burnt out. Like, so he needs to be able to rotate. Now, I know we have a couple of important games coming up, but like, for the likes of Sheffield United, like, you bench Bruno, you maybe bench Rashford and put Greenwood in there instead.
Yeah,
Like, Greenwood definitely needs minutes at this stage. Like, he
he
really
does.
does need minutes. So even I nearly even play Dan James, to be honest, because he has the
Yeah,
pace there and he'll just run at the defenders. But
definitely. And then Greenwood looked amazing against City. And I
yeah,
thought he looked a lot more um, fresher as well, and he had quite a good chance. He should have scored one or two as well, but he looked really better. So I think really with Greenwood doing that, you put him in. James obviously started off last season really well. He's
mm,
obviously had lots of low in confidence, but they've got the talent there. But I just think we try and play him on the right, and he's not a right midfielder, so you've got to play him on the left. If you do that, where do you put Tony and where do you put Rashi?
yeah,
So
yeah,
that's the issue, isn't it? And he's better on the left. But
mm,
again, for Wales, he scored that great goal. Sorry, and
yeah.
he played a number 10 position.
Mm. But I think just for the sake of Daniel James, I think having the likes of Donny and having the likes of Mata there with him
Yeah,
is a huge plus. Just intelligent wise,
it is.
they can teach him a lot more. Like, do you know, that kind of way.
Yeah,
And like, obviously he doesn't look like that at the moment. And you know, James, he doesn't know what to do with the ball after he runs. But look, I think it's a massive plus having them at the club with players with such high intelligence, because
mm,
it'll massively affect the young kids coming up as well.
yeah, yeah, 100%, 100%. So now I'm really looking forward to tomorrow's game at 8 o'clock, but a bit nervous because I just think that because that it's such an important game now because of all the other results that we've seen. I think we
Yeah.
have to win this game. We have to play well, not start like we usually do, 2-0 down, and got to go and score 3 or 4. Ridiculous. Try and
Mm.
start well. And fingers crossed if we do get a win, it'd be massive to then kick on to the Leeds game and go on into the busy Christmas period. So let's hope we win. So come on, United. So yes, it's a really big game. So I want to say, Amy, thank you very much for joining me tonight. I've really enjoyed it, and
No
thank you
problem
for
at
your
all.
comments, Rachel, as well. That's been good fun, and we can definitely do a show, three of us together as well.
Yeah, that'll be good. Yeah.
That'd be good fun. Yes, it'd be good to know. Have a really good Christmas, everybody, and have a great Christmas as well, Amy.
No worries, you too.
Yeah, thank you very much. All the
Thanks.
best, everyone. Thank you. Cheers. Thanks.